Hello everybody, good morning or good afternoon or good evening. Just a short video with some thoughts, or probably better to say some reflections on your comments around some of the issues that you've seen with project design processes. And the comments you've made are fascinating. I mean, I've heard people say that some of the designs are more rooted in the problems of the past. There have been a whole load of really good comments, and well done. I've seen the great comments on comments and threads, which is fantastic. And there have been some really interesting threads or comments talking about not taking the time to do analysis, or not taking the time to think about it. And you're right. Good design takes time. Interestingly, though, I've heard this problem or this challenge from both the grant maker but also the grantee side of the equation. And you know, the causes don't matter. You know, very often people say, the grant maker timelines don't give us time to do this, and other times people say, it should have been planned further in advance. That doesn't matter. For whatever reason, good design does take time. And if it's rushed, or you don't have the right people, you don't have the right skills, you don't have the right resources, you're building on sand. You can have a very pretty building, but it will fall down. And one of the things you see is that flawed design issues will come back to bite you in the project, and the longer you leave it before it's addressed, the bigger the problem will be, and it will cost you more to fix it. So those are some reflections there. And linked to that, there have been a lot of interesting comments around grantees, around partners, around capacity, and making assumptions about different organizations' capacities. And I think that's wise. What's interesting, and we're going to look more at assumptions when we look at the next phase and we look at risk management in particular. But every assumption is a risk. Most assumptions are written as positive statements. We assume there is enough capacity or whatever. We assume political stability. However, if you make that assumption negative, if people don't have the right capacity, if there isn't political stability, then it becomes a risk. And we'll look at what to do with that later. But I think if we're making assumptions, then by default we're making risks. And at this stage, we're making some quite serious, we're taking some serious risks about the project. And then a final reflection, and this builds on something I mentioned in another video around grantee and partner capacity, that any project is only as strong as the weakest link. If that weakest link is a partner, then it doesn't matter how good your project management is, the project is still as weak as that weakest point, the partner. And again, this is why I think when we start looking at designing projects, it is actually really important to think about partner capacity, not just their capacity to do the design, but their capacity, their honest capacity to implement, because otherwise, again, we're building on sand. So just a couple of reflections there on your really excellent comments on identification and definition and design of projects. I hope that was helpful. Bye for now.